What is up, my fellow golf ball addicts? We are in our continuation. We are getting ever so much closer to our top 10, our top 5, and of course our #1 golf ball tested on the channel. This is really exciting. I love the feedback and I appreciate the feedback of everyone who's been involved. This has been awesome. As always, if you haven't seen the video on how I'm reviewing these golf balls, that is in the description below. So if you have it, this is your first time watching, first time channel, be sure to check that out. Otherwise, guys, seriously, I appreciate all the views. I appreciate all the awesome comments you've been doing. The channel has taken off quite a bit, and I'm just really super excited about it. And really, more than anything, I'm super excited to get to this top 10, to get to this top 5 and see, where these golf balls lie. And the last one, I did ask you guys to post what you thought was going to be #1, and I've got some really great guesses. I've got a lot of, left field ones, some dark horses. They've really been awesome. But again, I appreciate those comments. They help increase the YouTube algorithm to where now my videos are being shown to more people, and I'm getting tons of views. So I do appreciate that, guys, as always. Let's go ahead and dive right in. We are now in the 20s. This is 29 through 20, which basically means that all these golf balls really aren't going to have a weakness. I mean, a couple of them might have a small weakness, but there's no glaring issues here. All these golf balls are going to get a recommendation from me. All these golf balls are worth a try, depending on the type of player you are. Really what it comes down to is some of them might have had something that was a 10 out of 10 and propelled them up a little higher, and some of them might have just been a flat-out 7 across the board. That's just 7 out of 7, 7 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 7 out of 10, that kind of thing. But let's dive right in. Let's go with number 29 first, which of course is the Mizuno RB566. So I love Mizuno on the channel. Most of my clubs are Mizuno. I got fitted for them a while back. And I really do have a soft spot for the Mizuno golf balls, but one that I was really impressed with from the get-go was the Mizuno RB566. Of course, 566 meaning the number of dimples. It's Mizuno's two-piece golf ball. It boasts a really soft, springy feel that really jumps off the club. It has a very interesting design to it. It's got that Mizuno blue, if you love that Mizuno blue. But also, the performance numbers were just really consistent here. I mean, it actually had a very consistent performance across the board. And I actually had an incredible driver number with this, despite it just being a two-piece golf ball, which is kind of crazy. I usually don't get that with two-piece golf balls. I don't get great driver numbers. Most of the time, I end up over-compressing them at that point, but not the case here. I actually did really well. So the Mizuno RB doesn't necessarily blow me away in any category, but it just seems to check all boxes. It performed with every single club to a degree. The value at $22 a dozen, it's not the best. And honestly, if that had been a little bit better, this golf ball could have been even higher on this list. But it checks all these boxes nice and evenly, and that's why it's at number 29. Number 28, the Encore Avant 55. This was a golf ball that I tested recently. I do like Encore on the channel. They're one of the best direct-to-consumer brands on the market. And their intro beginner two-piece golf ball is actually called the Avant 55, a 55 compression. Very soft, very squishy, very springy off the club. A lot of bouncy ball effect. It's a lot of fun to hit. But really, there was some phenomenal numbers that came along with it. I actually was able to get 96 mile per hour with my 9-iron, which is one of the highest I've tested on the channel, which is awesome. The $20 per dozen is really a great deal. And actually, if you're a member of Encore's Club, you can even get them cheaper with free shipping. So it ends up being something really special there. And I even had 110 mile an hour ball speed with the 7-iron, which is definitely on the higher end of that. Now, here's the bad part. This is one of the few golf balls on this 10 right here that we're doing that's going to have a glaring weakness. This one, actually, the driver numbers, I overcompressed it. Once I got to that point, I lost a couple of miles per hour, lost a few yards. It actually performed pretty poorly with the driver. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to perform badly with everybody. If you're a slower swinger, if you're 85 to 90 mile an hour, I don't think you're going to lose anything with the driver. I think you could actually gain a few yards. I think you'll still get those great performances with the short, mid, and long irons, all that. But I think the driver will do well for you also, excuse me. I think the ball's not intended for my swing speed. And again, I've said this and I know I'm repeating it, but the fact that it's this high and it's not for me is pretty phenomenal. I got some great numbers with it. Really, it checks all boxes. And again, if the design had been a little bit better too, it might have even prompted it up. So there was potential here. There's a lot of potential for this golf ball. It does come in like green, yellow, some matte colors, which gives it a little bonus too. But yeah, it's in the 20s. It's worth a shot. It's a great golf ball, especially for people who need forgiveness, slower swing speeds. It's worth a shot. Number 27, the Encore Elixir. So Encore actually gets back-to-back here, which is really cool. So the Elixir is actually their next step up. It's their 3-piece model golf ball, urethane. It comes in at $30 a dozen, which is a good price, but you have to pay the shipping unless you either meet a certain amount or unless you're part of their club. But again, the potential's there. The potential for value here is really good. If you end up being an Encore member and you get a certain percentage off, a 3-piece urethane golf ball actually goes down into like Vice levels here. So that's really good for the value, but also the performance wasn't bad either. With this golf ball, I was actually able to get amazing hybrid numbers and actually incredible driver numbers. It's one of the few golf balls I've averaged 250 yards with on the channel, which is phenomenal. Just average 9-iron and subpar 7-iron though, which is a real shame because if those numbers had been better, again, we're looking at top 15, top 10 possibly, but it just didn't compress that well. It was a little dead coming off the club when I had those short irons, which isn't always a bad thing. As long as it was average or consistently average, that would have been fine, but I actually lost a little bit, and I don't like losing, especially when it comes to this level of golf ball field I have. There's going to be a lot of golf balls that are consistent, and I don't lose anything. So again, really good here. I love what the Elixir did. It has a great value, great durability, and if you're in that direct-to-consumer game and you end up liking them and you join Encore's club, you could actually have one of the best values and performance balls for the money in the industry. Number 26, the Pinnacle Soft. Yeah, believe it or not, Pinnacle makes some darn good golf balls. So they actually have 2 different models. They have the Pinnacle Soft, the Pinnacle Rush. And for those of you with the bingo cards, the Pinnacle Rush has not been called yet. So the first one we come to is the Pinnacle Soft. Not meant for my swing speed, definitely a softer golf ball, meant for slower swingers. And the reality is, even though it's meant for slower swingers, I still had a lot of success with it. I had a great consistent performance when it came to the irons as well as the hybrid. Unfortunately, I did over-compress the driver again, just like the case with the Avant 55. So unfortunately, I lost some distance there because it's too soft. I over-compressed it, but it has really good durability. And really where this golf ball also comes into play is they're easily gettable. You can get them at Walmart, you can get them in pro shops, you can get them, really anywhere you do your shopping, but you get 15 golf balls for $20, which is a really, really good value, especially for a golf ball that comes out of the Titleist plant, which, yes, Titleist owns this company. They make this golf ball. So really good as far as durability, consistency, just the overall design of how they make it. You can just tell it comes from one of those plants. It may not be the premier plant, but it's still one of a Titleist plant, and that's nothing to scoff at. So Pinnacle Soft does a really, really good job. It doesn't do anything fantastic, but again, it just checks a lot of boxes. And if you're someone with a slow swing speed, it's a really low risk to go spend $20, get 15 golf balls, and try them out. Number 25, the Uther Tour Icon. So this is one that I definitely wouldn't have guessed. If you'd given me some guesses, where this golf ball would land, it would not have been anywhere close to here. I don't really recommend it to that many people. Not that it doesn't deserve a recommendation, it didn't really stick in my mind when I did the review at the time. But here's where this golf ball comes into play. It was a decent value at $30 a dozen. It was not urethane, so definitely not as good a value as the Elixir that we just covered a second ago. But you could get them in stores. They were accessible. They had really cool designs. They had interesting, bomb and flamingo and stuff. They tried to be fun. They tried to be different. I give them a little credit for that. But really, when it comes to the performance numbers, that's where this golf ball kind of propelled itself a little bit ahead, because the 9-iron was truly amazing. It was a fantastic performance with the short irons, and then across everything else, it was just slightly above average and really consistent. Really consistent, slightly above average. It's always good in my book. You always know what you're going to get. The durability actually was really good as well. Again, it just does a lot of stuff right. That 9-iron performance definitely helped propel it for sure, as well as the design value, just those little things there. In reality, I'd probably recommend the Elixir over this golf ball, but based on the scoring, that's just how it came out. But they don't make this golf ball anymore, so it's kind of irrelevant. So yes, it fits here, but now that they don't make it anymore, maybe they'll come out with a different design, maybe they'll come out with a different model that matches it. But at this time, I tried to look on there to see if you could still buy them, and you can't. So it's kind of irrelevant. But it was a good golf ball. I am going to try the Uther Tour Icon Pro Icon. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Those names are weird sometimes. The Pro Icon is available, and I think they have another one coming out this year as well, so I will be testing those to see if those are any good. So for now, when it comes to a golf ball like this, get the Elixir. Number 24, the Vice Tour. Vice is nice, baby, and although there's still some Vice golf balls that have not been mentioned on this list, we now come to the Vice Tour, which is their intermediate model. It's the 3-piece, but it's not a urethane. It's more of a Durlin iometer blend, I believe, but it's still a 3-piece, and actually comes at a pretty incredible value. Now, if you just buy 1 dozen at $27, $28 a dozen, the value's okay. I mean, it's good, but it's not great. But once you go online and you go to vice.com and you buy these in bulk, you'll actually get them for $21 a dozen if you buy 5 or more. And if you end up liking them, which I'd never recommend buying 5 or 6 dozen before you've tried a golf ball, but let's say you do try them and you like them, $21 a dozen is an incredible value for a 3-piece golf ball. It's one of the best I've seen. So really, honestly, a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 when it comes to that value. But I know you also want to know about the performance numbers, which with the Vice Tour, they were actually really, really good. Now, the Vice Tour is not going to jump off your club. You're not going to see massive gains in distance or anything like that, but you are just going to get a really average, consistent performance across all your clubs that you can know, you can trust, and you're also going to get that added spin as well from it being a 3-piece model. And then, of course, Vice always has some really cool designs, too. They always have a really, I love the way Vice looks. I love how they do their golf balls, the packaging. Everything's just really cool. It's a fun golf ball to play. It's fun to be part of their community, essentially. It's fun to be a Vice player. It kind of symbolizes that you're someone who likes to have fun out on the course. So I love what Vice does, and the Vice Tour is one of my favorites for sure. Number 23, the Wilson Duo Soft Plus. So this is another golf ball, unfortunately, that they are not making anymore. I think they've changed the model of it. There was the Duo Optics, there was the Duo Soft, this was the Duo Soft Plus. It came out a few years ago. I think they've kind of updated it and done something different for this year. However, I still tested it, I still want to share my numbers on it, and basically what I came up with was a golf ball that, although had one of the lowest compressions I had ever seen, I mean being super, super soft, I mean really soft, 35 compression, I still had consistent gains across the board, including the driver, which is really phenomenal. I thought for sure I would over compress it, but Wilson does such a fantastic job with these golf balls. A lot of their $1 a golf ball, $1.50 a golf ball, they're just phenomenal. They really perform well. There's been a lot of them so far. There's still a lot of them to come, and this one's no different. It really performs well. It has an amazing value at around $20 a dozen. That's right there with the majority of both of them. It actually is cheaper than most of them now, but really a great golf ball, especially for beginners or slow swingers, people wanting a lot of forgiveness. You can't go wrong with this one. It does a lot of stuff right. Number 22, the Mizuno Tour 2022. So, you know, if you have your bingo card out, you'll remember that the Mizuno Tour 23 model is pretty low on this list, unfortunately. It did not do that well. They made a lot of changes. It's unfortunate. But the 22 model that I had tested of the Mizuno Tour was nothing to scoff at. I actually performed a lot like how the Mizuno X23 model did. Don't ask me how that works, that's weird. But at the time I tested the Mizuno Tour 22 model, it actually broke a few records at the time. It actually had the highest performance as far as driver at the time. It had the highest performance as far as hybrid at the time. Now granted, I didn't have as big of a ball field. That doesn't quite hold the same weight as it does now, but still, really good numbers across the board. As far as being a tour golf ball from one of the big lines, it had a great value. It was only 42 a dozen opposed to your 45, your 50, anything like that. And you know, again, if you're a Mizuno fan, it just had a really cool design to it. It just was really simplistic. It had that Mizuno logo. It checked all these boxes, and then it just jumped off of the big clubs. It really jumped hard. Great spin numbers, great feel around the greens. It took me by surprise. Yes, I have a soft spot for Mizuno. You know that, I mentioned it earlier, but this one was the real deal. But here's the thing. It's not relevant anymore because now they came out with the 23 models. The 23 models, the regular Tour did not do so well, but the X has not been mentioned yet. So just kind of keep that in mind. So don't quite give up on Mizuno balls yet because we'll talk more about the X when it comes up. Number 21, the Wilson Tour Velocity. So this is one of those golf balls I was just mentioning that is really underground. You see it in Walmart and you think, you know, cheap practice balls, you know, guys who lose, you know, 12 around. but then you test it and you realize, oh my goodness, there's some firepower in here. So well, first of all, let's just start out with the value. About $1 a golf ball. Some people are even getting them cheaper than that now because they're going on clearance. I don't know if Wilson is going to continue this line or not in 2024. We'll have to see. They change stuff up all the time. But here's the thing. If you can still get these golf balls, they are phenomenal. They spring off the club. They're a lot of fun to hit. Great performance, consistent performance, but also on the hybrid and the 9-iron, I had really good performances and got really good gains on yardages too. Gained about 3-4 yards per club, which was really awesome. Durability is good. It checks that box. It's very consistent, which is awesome. Really good forgiveness there. But again, what really helps this golf ball a lot is not only being consistent and having a lot of ball speed, and it's really that value, because the design on this golf ball, it looks cheap. When you play it, you don't have a lot of confidence. You're looking at it thinking, yeah, this is a secondhand cheap ball, which is a shame. If they improved the design of it and made it look more professional, more sleek, a little more confidence when I'm looking at it, maybe a decent alignment tool, this golf ball could be top 10. It has the potential. That's how it was. So again, we'll see if they continue this line. I don't know if they will or not, but if you can still find them, definitely try them out. I've had some good success. There's been some good feedback as well on the review. If you go to the review I have of that, there's been some really good feedback of people who've been buying them on clearance now and saying, hey, I would have never anticipated this would have been awesome, but now that I've played it, you're right, it's phenomenal. Number 20, the Wilson Staff Model. Boy, a lot of Wilsons here. Got to give Wilson some credit. I think they're really underrated, and especially this golf ball. This has to be one of the most underrated balls that they have. The Wilson Staff Model, of course, is their tour golf ball. I tested it a while back, and I had some really darn good performance numbers, especially since most of the time tour golf balls aren't meant for me. They're not meant for my swing speed. They're not meant for my skill level. There's only been one golf ball that's been that so far, and it has not been mentioned, but this is definitely my second favorite tour level, like expensive, top-of-the-line tour level golf ball. It really is. It's my second favorite. I love what it does. It has an amazing design to it. As you can see, I mean, the font, the logo, the way Wilson's made it looks professional, it looks sleek, it looks like something a really high-end tour player would use. Simplistic. Love the alignment tool and design. Just keeps it simple. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. They do that really well. It feels premium, has a nice thick coating of urethane on it. But really also where it really comes into play is it had amazing performance numbers despite the fact that I didn't think it was for my swing speed. Maybe it is based on these performance numbers because I actually got great numbers with the mid-iron. The driver numbers were one of the best I've tested on the channel. I mean, really gained some yards there. Gained about 7 or 8 yards there, which was really phenomenal. The value, although the value isn't going to be good normally as far as being 50 a dozen, they do offer a couple times a year buy two get one free, and if you jump on that deal, it becomes insanely good, like really good for a tour golf ball. But yeah, I think it's underrated. Actually, what really gave this ball a hit was the short irons. I actually lost a little bit with the short irons, and if that short iron had compressed a little bit better and maybe gained a couple yards, you're talking top 15, top 10. I mean, it could have been number one. It could have been the best tour golf ball as far as tour level golf balls that I've played. So I think that a lot of people don't take this golf ball seriously. The reason I mention that is because when I do try to describe it to people, they look at me like I just told them the earth was flat. It's like they're like, oh yeah, you like the TP5 or the Pro V1? And I'm like, the Wilson Staff Model's pretty good. And they're like, Wilson? Like from Castaway, the movie? And I'm like, no, like, come on. Wilson has the most championships in golf. Like, let's not forget that Wilson, for the greater part of a century, ran the sport of golf. Just because they don't spend all this money now by signing tour guys and paying them hundreds of millions of dollars and, all that, and going public and all that stuff, doesn't mean that they still don't know how to make good sports equipment. Some people like to still work in the shadows and just be good. All right, we're all the way through 20. So now from now on, everything's going to be in the top 20. You'll get that in a few days. I appreciate you guys as always. I appreciate you watching. Top 20 is going to be awesome. This next list, I don't want to give anything away, but there's going to be some surprises. There's going to be some shockers, both good and bad. This is where the drama really starts. So I'm excited. We'll see you in a few days.